If you've ever been to New York, you've probably seen it. I used to see it almost every day growing up on Staten Island in New York Harbor. And even though its skin has turned green with age, it remains vibrant. I'm talking, of course, about the Statue of Liberty. This 220 tons of copper and iron is a powerful symbol of our country. Now, America isn't perfect, and we sometimes fall short of our ideals, but the Statue of Liberty remains a part of our lives. We see it all the time in movies, on television, and in advertisements. The statue has become so familiar that we sometimes don't think about it, but we should. As Neil Kotler, an historian at the Smithsonian Institute, says, the Statue of Liberty is a monument of breathtaking proportions. I've been fascinated with the Statue of Liberty ever since I was a kid, but I never knew just how amazing it is until I started researching it for this speech. This morning, I'd like to tell you a bit about its symbolism, its history, and its architecture. By the end, I hope you'll understand why this familiar structure is a modern marvel. Let's start with its symbolism, moving from the top of the statue to the bottom. At the top is the statue's most famous symbol, the torch. Ever since the statue was built, the torch has been a beacon to immigrants. It's the torch that prompted the poet Emma Lazarus to pen the famous lines that are inscribed on the pedestal of the statue. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Down from the torch is the Statue of Liberty's crown. Coming out from the crown are 7 rays, one for each continent. As the National Park Service explains on its Statue of Liberty website, these rays symbolize the importance of liberty around the world. Less famous than the crown and the torch are the chains at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. As you can see here, the chains are broken. National Geographic magazine explains that the broken chains represent the abolition of slavery and the Union's victory in the U.S. Civil War, which ended not long before the statue was built. As we shall see next, the symbolism of the statue takes on added significance when we take a look at its history. Historian Edward Berenson, author of The Statue of Liberty, A Transatlantic Story, explains how the statue was created. At a dinner party in France in 1865, 2 men, Edouard de Laboulaye and Frédéric Bartholdi, came up with the idea of building a statue for the United States. Laboulaye was an expert on American politics and wanted to commemorate the end of slavery. Bartholdi was a brilliant young sculptor who envisioned a colossal monument he called Liberty Enlightening the World. Construction of the statue began in 1876 and was completed 10 years later. All the building was done in France. You can see in this photo what the statue looked like with the buildings of Paris in the background. After the statue was finished, it was taken down, as you can see here, put in boxes, and shipped to New York, where it was reconstructed. When the statue was unveiled in New York, more than 1 million people flocked to the harbor to see it. Shown in this painting, the celebration was one of the biggest in American history. Liberty enlightening the world had finally found its permanent home. Today we take the Statue of Liberty for granted, but it was considered an architectural marvel when it was built. If you look at the statue from the outside, it looks solid, like it's made completely of stone. But looks can be deceiving. The statue's exterior is not made of stone, but of copper, and it's only 2.4 millimeters thick. Not much thicker than this penny. Yet despite its thin copper skin, the statue stands 151 feet tall and towers 305 feet above the water if you include the pedestal. Think about the wind and the weather that have beaten against it for 130 years. The thin copper skin wouldn't be able to survive without something really strong underneath. So what is underneath? As represented in this slide, there's an iron skeleton underneath the copper skin. Darcy Grigsby, author of the 2012 book Colossal, explains that the skeleton is made of a 92-foot tall pylon that is stuck deep in the stone pedestal. The skeleton has flat metal bars that connect the copper skin to the pylon. These bars work like springs. They provide the strength and flexibility that allow the Statue of Liberty to survive the harsh weather of New York Harbor. And if the interior design of the Statue of Liberty reminds you at all of this structure, that's because it was created by the same man who would later build the Eiffel Tower. You can definitely see similarities between the open structure of the Eiffel Tower and the engineering principles employed in the interior design of the Statue of Liberty. Architectural historian Yasmin Sabina Khan says in her 2010 book, Enlightening the World, that the statue's design was such a stunning technical achievement that people referred to it at the time as the eighth wonder of the world. In conclusion, I hope I've shown you some of the reasons why the Statue of Liberty remains a wonder of the world. Its symbolism, history, and architecture make this 220 tons of copper and iron a modern marvel. So the next time you're in New York City, the next time you see the statue on television, in movies, in magazines, just remember, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.